If you've been spending weeks or months learning how to post online without actually doing it, research has stopped being preparation. It has become a way of staying hidden. That is hard to see from the inside because research feels productive. You're learning things, thinking things through, trying to understand the platform before you waste your time posting content that goes nowhere. On the surface, that sounds sensible. But there's a difference between research that supports posting and research that replaces it. And if you've been doing this for a long time without anything to show for it, what I'm going to talk to you today will help explain what you've really been doing. Most people who stay in research mode already know more than enough information to begin. So the reason you continue to research is because research is doing something else for you. It's managing something for you at the level of your nervous system. And until you understand what that something is, the research will keep expanding to fill the time you're not posting. Hi, I'm Helen Innes and I help women stop holding back and start speaking up. This video is part of my series, Speaking Up as a Content Creator, where I explore the fears, blocks, and avoidance patterns that prevent people from being visible online, even though they say that's what they want. Today, I'm going to walk through exactly what's going on underneath your research and why the usual advice about just starting is too blunt to actually help. When you research how to post, you're engaged, you're learning, and you feel like you're getting somewhere. But you're doing it behind the scenes, where nobody can actually see you. Posting is different. Posting is where the work stops being private and becomes visible. Your ideas are out there, and other people can ignore them, misunderstand them, or simply not respond. Research lets you stay involved without having to face other people. Because research keeps revealing new information, it's very easy to keep going. One video leads to another. An article mentions something you hadn't considered. Someone contradicts something you thought you'd understood. And now you need to resolve that before you can move forward. What makes this especially compelling is that the advice never fully lines up. One person says volume is everything. Another says quality matters more than quantity. One says thumbnails decide whether anyone watches. Another says useful content that answers questions is what matters. The more you consume, the more contradictions you collect, and the harder it becomes to feel ready. Contradiction keeps research going because it gives you something genuine to resolve before you can start. But the contradictions don't resolve, they just accumulate. And so preparation never ends. One of the things that makes posting content genuinely uncomfortable, especially when you're starting out, is that you can't control how it's received. You can do many things right and still get very little response. You can post something imperfect and it can reach more people than you expected. There's no formula that makes outcomes predictable. And when you're new, you don't yet have enough experience to know which parts matter, which barely matter, and which parts only matter once you've got some momentum. Research feels like it might fix that. If you just understand the platform well enough, maybe you can reduce the randomness. Maybe there is a system, a sequence, a set of rules that will make the whole thing work reliably. That hope is what keeps the research going, because each new video or article might contain the very thing that finally makes it feel controllable. But posting is not controllable, and no amount of preparation changes that. The only thing that builds real understanding of what works is posting enough to accumulate actual evidence. You can't think your way out of that. You can only get there by doing. For many people looking to post content, the excessive research is not just around how platforms work. It's about the topic itself. You start wanting to post about something you know and care about, but once you imagine making content on it, the bar regarding what you need to know gets higher. It no longer feels enough to have an interesting perspective on a topic. You start to feel you need to become more knowledgeable across the subject before you're allowed to speak publicly on it. So instead of making the video, you keep reading, comparing, collecting sources, and filling knowledge gaps. You're not preparing one post anymore. You're trying to eliminate the possibility of being exposed as someone who doesn't know enough. The problem is that you never reach the bar you set because it keeps going up. There's always more to learn, always another angle you've not covered, always someone who knows the subject more than you. If feeling credible enough is the condition for posting, then posting can always be postponed. The people who feel like they need to keep researching until they're credible enough are often the ones with something real to say. What they're missing is not substance. It's evidence from their own experience that being visible doesn't destroy them. And that evidence can only come from posting, not from more preparation. As long as you haven't posted your content online, your potential stays intact. You've not yet had to become the person who posted and got ignored. Someone who posted and looked awkward. Or the person who found what sounded clear in their head didn't make sense to others. Those outcomes are still hypothetical. Research keeps them hypothetical. That matters more than it might sound. Posting doesn't feel like it only tests content. It feels like it tests you. If something you put out gets very little response, it's easy for that to turn into a conclusion about you. Maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe nobody cares what I think. Or maybe I don't actually know as much as I thought. Research delays having to face those thoughts and feelings. It lets you hold on to the possibility that when you do finally start, it will go well because you prepared properly. That idea keeps hope alive. It's not only fear of failure that drives more research. Success can do it too. I had this with my music channel. Most of my songs were getting tens or a couple of hundred views at best, and then one did much better than the others, with thousands of views coming in. That sent me into research mode, as I didn't know what was special about that song. I didn't think it was one of my best songs. I started looking at music structure, chord progressions, what makes songs catchy, different angles the lyrics could be interpreted from, basically what hidden elements I might have stumbled into without realizing it. And while I was researching, I stopped creating. Because in my mind at the time, there was no point creating if I couldn't figure out what the magic trick was first. I never actually figured it out. I still have no idea what made that song outperform the rest. I've tried to recreate past success without any luck. I'm not saying it can't be done, just that we shouldn't over-focus on research at the expense of actually creating. With research, if something fails, research promises an explanation. If something succeeds, research promises a formula. In both cases, it offers the same comfort. If I can just understand this well enough, maybe I can stop feeling as exposed to randomness. Success doesn't calm that down. At first, research may genuinely be helpful. You're learning and you're getting ready. But after a while, something shifts. You know more than you did, but you still haven't posted. And now the research may be managing the anxiety about posting, or at the very least, serving as a reminder that you're still not posting and you said you would. You may start wondering why it feels so hard for you when it seems easier for other people. You may start feeling behind or frustrated with yourself. The research that used to soothe that discomfort starts adding to it. There's also a more practical cost. The longer you stay in research mode, the more you accumulate. Saved templates, trending formats, content strategies, growth frameworks, scripts you are going to come back to. The folders grow, and now it's not just that you haven't started, it's that you have a whole archive of things you're not using, which also adds pressure. At that point, research has stopped serving the act of posting and started replacing it entirely. If you can relate to some of what I've covered, research is doing a specific job for you, managing the discomfort of not yet knowing whether being visible will be okay. And it does that job quite well, which is why it's so easy to stay in it. But it can't do the one thing that would actually resolve the discomfort, which is give you real evidence that you can handle being seen. That evidence only comes from posting, not from understanding the platform better, not from knowing your topic more thoroughly, from actually doing it enough times that the uncertainty stops feeling so fragile. For some people, especially when their nervous system is highly activated around visibility, the answer isn't to push hard against that and force yourself to post before you're ready. That can make it worse. You don't need to bully yourself into exposure. What you need to stop doing is asking research to resolve something it can't resolve, and find a starting point small enough that your nervous system can actually tolerate it. For me, that was reading my poems on camera. They were short. I was familiar with the words. Most people expect a poem to be read and not remembered, so reading them aloud felt more manageable than trying to perform a polished long-form video. I'd already tried the longer videos and found them intensely stressful. The poems were something I could actually do. They weren't the final form of what I wanted to make, but they were real enough to begin building evidence that being seen didn't end me. That's the shift you need. Figuring out a way to be visible that is big enough to create forward momentum, but small enough you'll actually do it. Research has a real place. It just can't be the condition for starting. And whatever you choose to do at the beginning doesn't have to be impressive. It just has to be something. Your better, more optimized videos can come later, the ones where you can put that research to good use. But for now, you need to prove to yourself that you can be safe putting yourself out there. If this resonated, you might want to watch my previous video about why you want to post content but don't. It looks at some of the other ways people get stuck before they start posting, including overthinking, perfectionism, fear of judgment, and the discomfort of being visible before they feel ready. The link is in the description.